Oh, now it's going. All right, lit. Now it's going. Hell yeah, finally. We got it going. Yup. All right. Ready to go, Ian?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to Ballaholics. It is the live edition of Ballaholics. I like to call it the pregame to the NBA restart because the NBA restart, we are less than an hour away. Shout out to everyone watching right now. A couple of my boys are watching. I told you guys to come through. Sorry that we had a little bit of a wait. It was like a 42-minute wait. You know me, we don't really have at Ballaholics, we don't really have producers, we don't have producers, Ian. We don't have people that are like, these tech guys.
We don't
It's
have
just
people who
us.
know how to use technology. We don't have people who know how to use technology. I
We don't got
guess.
technologists. I'm certainly not a technologist. I can't use my technology. So really happy that you guys are tuning in. If you haven't already, write in the chat. We have a live chat to our right. If you guys can't see, we upgraded a little bit. I was able to, get some software, learn how to set up our page a little bit better. So it looks a little bit nicer. But anyway, yeah, let's get into it. Our first segment, let's just go right into it. We're going to go into NBA award predictions, Ian. So basically what we're going to do for this segment, first, we're going to do NBA awards predictions, followed by the Tom Thibodeau hiring. Then we'll get to the MLB reactions, of course, because you got to talk about your Blue Jays, Ian. They're now in Buffalo. And then we'll talk about the NBA restart predictions that we have. So first off, yeah, let's get to the NBA award predictions, Ian. Basically, we're just going to go through each award, and we'll be a little quick on this. We'll go through each award segment, and we'll talk about who we think will win each award. And then you guys at home who are watching, feel free to call in at any time, and we'll let you guys call in, and we can hear your opinions as well. So, Ian, let's just start with the biggest award, obviously, MVP. Who is it?
Okay.
Couple sentences.
I think strictly from just kind of like I think the way the movement is moving, I think it's gonna be Giannis. Maybe that's because of LeBron fatigue, but I would say right now, I'm a big LeBron guy, but I would take Giannis as MVP right now.
Yeah, I think that you said Giannis.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that ultimately LeBron's going to get the award because he's just such a big brand name. I think that the media really wants him to win his last, they're going to say his last award. I think it should be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm going to say Giannis. What
Yeah,
do you
I
say,
think
Giannis?
I think LeBron fatigue. LeBron fatigue more than anything right now is what's stopping him.
Exactly. How about we go next into our six man of the year predictions? Ian, let's go. Who do you got?
I think just based off of kind of like pure numbers, and I could very well be wrong, but I think it has to probably be Lou Williams. I mean, I know gotten the fatigue. It's either him or like Montrezl Harrell, which is crazy, and because both of them were nominated last year, but they're both averaging, I believe, over 18 points a game off the Clippers bench. Has to be one of them. I would imagine probably the best or some of the best depth in the league.
Yeah, actually, I feel like it's a two-man race, and surprisingly, they're on the same team. Sweet Lou, who's been the sixth man of the year forever, basically, and then you have Montrezl Harrell. So I think that I'm going to go with Montrezl Harrell. Ian, did you have something to say real quick?
No. I was gonna say I think Lou Williams has already won it 3 times before. Is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. Lou
Yeah.
Williams. Yeah, Lou Williams is just that's his award. They can name the award after him when he retires. It'll be the Sweet Lou Six Man of the Year award. But ultimately, I think this year it's going to go to Montrezl Harrell. But I definitely think that Lou Williams deserves to be mentioned in that conversation, perhaps even as the second in
Yeah.
line. So let's go on to Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year is actually one of my favorite awards in this season because there's no clear cut favorite. Ian, who you got?
I honestly, it's this is a very hard, very hard pick. I think honestly, like looking back, I would have to probably go Mike Malone of the Nuggets. I mean, if you look at just like because think about it, if you look at the three best teams in the league, the Clippers, Lakers, and Bucks. None of them have. I mean, I guess the Bucks. Mike Budenholzer is a pretty good coach, and Doc Rivers is a pretty good coach. But they both, both of them have superstars. The Nuggets, I believe, what are the 3 seed in the West, and I mean, Nikola Jokic is pretty good, but Mike Malone, I think, gets the most out of him. Out of Nikola Jokic, and Mike Malone is really never. I don't even know if he's been nominated for it. So I think it's one of those things where you could definitely see him coming in and snagging that award.
I feel like with this award, Ian, there's so many different people who you can say. can win this award. You can look at the Lakers even and say, you know what, they're the number 1 seed. You know, there were people saying that they weren't actually going to be able to attain that number 1 spot. Maybe Frank Vogel's that person. You can look at the Miami Heat and say, wow, whoever thought that they would be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference? Who knew that their young players were going to thrive? And who knew that Jimmy Butler was going to lead that team to be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference? So I think that Eric Spoelstra deserves consideration there. You could say Brad Stevens as well, since, you know, because of infusing Kemba Walker on that Boston Celtics team. I have to go with Billy Donovan of the OKC Thunder. 40-24, Ian, they are, and they weren't even supposed to be a playoff team. They were supposed to be a lottery team trying to get LaMelo Ball. Of course, that's my New York Knicks, but I have to give it to Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're all right. They're not a bad team, and
I mean, who sees it coming? Who sees it coming? Let's see. Money Chaser says not Mike Malone. He wants a team with a respectable seed. What do you say to that, Ian?
So well, with that, I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying, but I think with that, you have to either give it to Frank Vogel or Mike Budenholzer. And Mike Budenholzer won it. He won it last year, I want to say. He won it recently. And I would imagine they won't give it to him again. And then Frank Vogel, I don't think is a good coach. Like, I don't think he's a very good coach. I would think that I think it's LeBron. I literally think it's LeBron and AD, and they have a good enough roster.
You know the problem with that, Ian? Here's the problem, because I hate that. You tell people like you, because if the Lakers don't do well, then it's like, oh, they need a new coach. It's Frank Vogel's fault. But when they do well, then it's like, oh, it was LeBron. They have LeBron James. I think either way, the fact that they were able to incorporate another superstar in Anthony Davis and the fit worked out perfectly, that team, the talent's good, but the chemistry is amazing.
Billy Donovan has a worse seed than Mike Malone, so I don't know who you're attacking now.
But you have to look at the expectations versus reality. The OKC Thunder were supposed to be a top 3 like lottery team.
I'm just responding to the comment.
Okay. You got me a little antsy, Ian.
No,
you do it sometimes, especially when you bring up my Knicks, but you did it now too. No, you didn't do it now, but you do bring up my Knicks all the time, and people know that. It's a known fact, Ian.
We will get to the Knicks. We will definitely get to the Knicks.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, let's go on. How about Executive of the Year, Ian? Executive of the Year.
Executive of the Year, I mean, it's kind of – you got to look back at last offseason. If you look back at last offseason, you got Sean Marks of the Nets who – got Kyrie and KD. Although, obviously really didn't perform this year. So I'd probably have to go Jerry West, getting Kawhi, getting Paul George, keeping Lou Williams, keeping Montrezl Harrell. I really just think like overall, like this team, even last year, who was it the 8th seed or the 7th seed in the West, who was a pretty good team, still adding on top of that and not just tanking. I think Jerry West deserves a lot of credit for that.
Jerry West, yeah. And before, I'm going to say Jerry West. By the way, whoever's calling, I see your call. I will answer you in a second. But let me give my Executive of the Year real quick. You said Jerry West, and I can't disagree with you on this one, Ian. It's Jerry West, and I think that anyone with a brain can say it's Jerry West. The fact that you're able to not just bring in one superstar, not to mention you brought in Kawhi Leonard when he already won a title the previous year. I feel like that's unheard of. Who does that? So you bring Kawhi Leonard, who's a top-tier player in the NBA, won a title last year in Toronto, and then you're able to trade for Paul George. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard wasn't coming unless you got Paul George. You got 2 superstars in, and you were able to maintain your roster, the depth of your roster, and Lou Williams, who's a former 6-man, Montrezl Harrell, Pat Beverly, who's a dog, and just that entire team is just built literally to win an NBA title. So I have to agree with you there. I'm going to agree it is Jerry West. Let's get to our live caller now. We have a live caller. Let's see who it is.
The only way I can see it not being Jerry West is if there's just photo fatigue. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. So what's going on, man? You're live with Ballaholics. What do you think?
What's going on?
How we doing, Mike?
Good. How are you, Sam?
Doing good. Can't complain, man.
So, what was the question? Because when I called in and stuff, I didn't really hear what was being said.
Yeah, so it could be whatever. Honestly, whichever award you want to do. It could be MVP prediction that you have. It could be a coach of the year. It could be a sixth man of the year. Whoever you want.
All right, I'll go with MVP.
MVP,
So
who you got?
a lot of people are gonna say that it should be Giannis, but I'm gonna obviously make the argument for LeBron because he's 35. No, 30. Yeah, 35. He's putting up the numbers that he's putting up. So I feel like, and he's first in the West, where everyone said, oh, if he goes out West, he won't do it. So I feel like LeBron should win it.
I think that's a valid. I think that's a valid argument. I think if it's not Giannis, it's LeBron. The only way, I mean, I think I agree with him. I think LeBron probably should get it, but I would say that voter fatigue, like I think the media is so skewed towards Giannis simply because of stats. I'm not saying overall. I'm not saying overall over their careers. I'm just saying the LeBron fatigue tells me that probably it will go Giannis, but that's just. If you took a poll of media members on ESPN right now, they would have Giannis winning MVP.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
I don't think it's good.
That's wrong.
That's not wrong.
Ian, LeBron James is literally the biggest brand name in sports, and he plays in the biggest market in the NBA, the Los Angeles. Okay, so trust me, the media members want LeBron. If anything, they are biased towards LeBron.
They're the ones voting. The MVP is voted by media
members and journalists.
Yeah, and I think they fatigue. I think they just don't want to give it to him for like the millionth time.
No, but it's the opposite because they haven't given it to him in so long, and the narrative behind LeBron James, this could be their last year to give him the award, so they're going to be more inclined to give him the award. But Mike, just to answer your question real quick, the reason why I say Giannis, and I do believe LeBron James warrants consideration, but LeBron James, if you look at the specific season, the MVP is an award of the specific season. I'm literally taking names out of it. LeBron James, I don't care if his name's LeBron James. I don't care if his name's Giannis. I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at the PER, which Giannis has the highest PER, and the PER has basically predicted the MVP like eight out of 9 seasons. So I have to give it to Giannis. I think Giannis' team is better, and Giannis does not have Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. I definitely see your point too, though.
I'll argue with this. If you take LeBron off the Lakers, they're not a playoff team. If you take Giannis off the Bucks, I think that they sneak in 7th, 8th seed in the East.
I think the Lakers with AD could sneak in with a 7th or 8th, but I do agree that the Lakers without LeBron would be worse than the Bucks without Giannis. I agree with that for sure.
All right, Mike. Appreciate you calling, man.
Yep, you got it.
Definitely continue to call in. All right.
Will do.
Awesome.
So, most improved, Ron?
Yeah, so let's keep going. We didn't say most improved yet. We still have to do most improved, and we also got to do defensive player of the year. So, You start, Ian, whichever one you want to do.
I guess with most improved, can a rookie, someone who's coming off their rookie year win most improved? They can, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess I would go with Luka. I guess I go with Luka Doncic. I mean, just because he was, going from rookie of the year, pretty much like very good season to pretty much MVP caliber in your second year. I think that's incredible. I mean, he had, 38 in 6, I want to say. And I think I'm looking it up right now, but I think outside of him, Bam Adebayo. Oh no, this was last year.
I like Bam Adebayo. That's good too.
No, he won it last year.
Who won it last year?
Bam Adebayo.
No, didn't Pascal Siakam win it last year?
Okay, I'm looking at this real quick. Am I looking at this wrong?
No, you're good. Pascal Siakam won it last year, and I think my pick was actually D'Angelo Russell.
It was. Yeah, Bam Adebayo. You're right. My bad. Bam Adebayo, is I think he very well could win it. I think if maybe you don't have Luka here, so I would imagine it's certainly possible that I don't know. Luka is here. Okay, yeah. So Luka, Brandon Ingram, and Bam Adebayo, I think. But my vote would be for Luka just because he's literally an MVP caliber player now.
Not a bad pick, Ian, but I just have to go with Montrezl Harrell. When the Rockets, several seasons ago, when they completed a sign and trade with the Los Angeles Clippers and they acquired Chris Paul, they gave away Montrezl Harrell, and I was like, that's fine. Montrezl Harrell, who's that? He was like a nice role player on the Rockets, but for Chris Paul, who was an all-star at the time, a perennial all-star, I would do that trade in a heartbeat. But Montrezl Harrell this season's averaging 20 points, Ian. 20 points, 12 rebounds, and he's just a monster inside, and he is an integral part of that Clippers team on the bench. I think that Montrezl Harrell is sort of undervalued, and I think this season he's really shown his value. He's shown his worth, and I think that for this season, Montrezl Harrell has to be my most improved player.
Did he really get that much better from last season?
He was okay last season. He was a solid player, but he wasn't. He
did the league this season. He did the league.
What's wrong with your mic? Try to talk again.
Can you hear me? I said he took the league. Montrezl Harrell took the league.
Something is wrong with your mic.
Something's wrong with my mic. That's not.
Oh no, you're good. You're good now. Something that fixed.
Okay. And by the way, guys, yeah.
Montrezl Harrell, he took a step up, but I would say, not nearly enough as you would think for like most improved. But it is what it is. So defensive player of the year is very interesting, and I think a lot of the times, like as fans, be like just like who has the most steals or who has the most blocks. But right now, just from like a perspective of who I think has made probably a huge impact, and you're gonna hate me. You might hate me. I'm gonna go with Anthony Davis. I know you're gonna hate me. So I think Anthony Davis really just from like, not just from like I think really just transforming that defense of the Lakers, but also B, kind of just like I guess just pretty much being able to stop in the middle down low. He's always had that ability, but I think being able to take the scoring load off of him a bit and give it to LeBron has really brought it out of him. This year. We also said a couple years ago when Boogie and him played for 30 games together, his defense rose because he had someone who could kind of take the load off of him on offense.
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis is a good pick. Again, I have to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is leading the league in defensive field goal percentage, I believe, and just what he does for that Milwaukee Bucks team on so many different levels. So, like on the offense, Giannis carries the offense. He's the centerpiece on the offensive end, but then he can do he has the same exact effect on the defensive end. So I think it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. What I like about the Anthony Davis pick, and I will give it to you, is that when Anthony Davis came in, he completely altered and transformed that Lakers defense. Anthony Davis, not only when he's such a good defender, he became the number one option, like the number one best defender option on the team. And when you do that, it makes LeBron James the second option, the second best defensive option instead of first. And everyone goes down, so it's easier for everyone else to become better at defense. But I will also say Danny Green was amazing on defense for the Lakers. And Avery Bradley, who was good for the Lakers, is not going to play for the NBA restart. So that's just a quick, I'm not suggesting anything, but maybe you guys should, tune in a little bit later on for NBA restart predictions, because maybe Avery Bradley will factor into one of our decisions, Ian. So I think right now we discussed all of our award predictions for you guys. And without further ado, let's go to our next segment. And Ian, you guessed it before, and I hate saying it. I don't even like talking about it, but it's Knicks news. So the Knicks actually hired Tom Thibodeau. It's official. They signed him to a 5-year deal. So Ian, I wanted to get your initial reactions. Do you think that this Tom Thibodeau hire is a good hire by the Knicks? Do you think they made the right decision?
I don't think they did. I think it's pretty apparent that they didn't. And I honestly, I'm not a Knicks fan. You know that. But I hope we look back at this in like a year and a half and we're like, wow, Ian was wrong. Ian was wrong. Ian was dead wrong about this. But I don't think I will be. I'm pretty certain. So the way we look at Tom Thibodeau, when he was on the Timberwolves, when he was a Timberwolves coach, he was like paranoid. He thought his room was bugged. He thought his office was bugged. The guy doesn't know how to deal with media. The guy doesn't know how to deal with owners. And he has James Dolan and the New York media. Two of probably the worst, definitely the worst owner in probably all four sports. Maybe Dan Snyder's worse than him. And then probably the craziest media in the country. He doesn't know how to deal with either of those. He doesn't know how to deal with young players. And let's say RJ Barrett by chance becomes like a superstar. He's just gonna push him, 150% for a game that's in like November. So it's like part of me wants to be like, I think he's a good coach because I don't think he's necessarily a bad coach. I just think the Knicks aren't a great right. Oh my goodness. The Knicks aren't a great destination for him. But on top of that, I think he's good at taking average players and making them pretty good. So that's good for the rest of the Knicks roster, but that's only going to get them so far. With the roster they have, it's not going to be like at best that's like a 7th seed team if everything goes well, right? And if you add more talent, he's not good with good talent. He doesn't know how to handle it. We saw that with Derrick Rose. Now, obviously, Derrick Rose won the MVP, but he has ACL torn like 3 times. But he also made Taj Gibson and Luol Deng like all-stars. So but I don't think he's a good just because of where the Knicks are at and the person Tom Thibodeau is.
Ian Mills, I couldn't disagree any more than what you just said. You just said this, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to clarify before I actually, rebuttal. You said first that you believe that he can't handle the top tier players on a team, but he makes the other players better. The role players he makes better. He elevates their performance, and he elevates the entire roster besides the top tier players. Is that correct?
Yes, he's good at making role players better. And he's bad at dealing with superstars. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's what
and you're right. And number 2, you said that Tom Thibodeau can't handle the media. He can't handle the media. He can't handle that.
He's not good with it.
Okay. Both of those points are absolutely wrong. I don't think he's the right hire for the New York Knicks, but not because of those reasons. And I just want to get at those points right now. Tom Thibodeau, he can't hire the media. Tom Thibodeau is the most established name on the market, Ian. And Tom Thibodeau is a big brand name. So if you look at New York is a big brand area. That's a huge market. And I think Tom Thibodeau, in terms of market fit, I think it's perfect. Now, I also want to say to your point, I think that superstars and top-tier players love working with him because he gets the best out of those players. If you look at Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, even though they disliked him as a coach, they had their best years under Tom Thibodeau. Derrick Rose, besides the ACL, had his best years under Thibodeau. Now, whether he should be playing him 40 minutes a game or 45 minutes a game, 48 minutes a game, that's a different discussion. But Tom Thibodeau's problem is that he overplays the starters and he doesn't give the bench and other role players time to play. So, I actually disagree with you. I think that he's going to be good for Mitchell Robinson. Let's not forget that Tom Thibodeau made Joakim Noah a defensive player of the year and a formidable player on the defensive end. I think he can do that for Mitchell Robinson. And I think for RJ Barrett, I think he can elevate RJ Barrett. I think RJ Barrett has that grit. I think that he has that mentality that, he can handle a hard-nosed coach like Thibodeau. But I just want to get to why I do not like Tom Thibodeau as the Knicks coach, okay? And I sort of alluded to this on the last show we did, Ian. Tom Thibodeau, he's a great coach. He's the wrong coach. The New York Knicks desperately needed a coach who can fix the culture and develop the young players. The Knicks have a ton of young players on that squad. RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, Joakim Noah, Mitchell Robinson. Tom Thibodeau is a level 2 coach. The Knicks needed a level 1 coach. A level 1 coach is that coach who can actually develop the young players and grow with them, who's super relatable and can motivate them. Tom Thibodeau is more of he can coach more established players. And that's why I don't really think he did well with the Timberwolves, because they were younger players. So I would have liked Kenny Atkinson, and I would have liked Mike Miller. But in terms of Tom Thibodeau, I think he's the most established name in the market. But he's the wrong hire.
The media knowing that he's a big name doesn't make him good with the media. He doesn't know how to interact with the media is what I was trying to get at. Specifically, if you look at his time with the Bulls and with the Timberwolves, multiple interactions just killing him. But again, with the fact that you were talking about Mitchell Robinson, he will do what good with him. Yeah, he's going to make a role player in Mitchell Robinson look much better. Same thing you can do with Joe.
A role player with Mitchell Robinson. Watch your mouth. That's very disrespectful.
What is he? Yeah, he's a starter. That doesn't make him not
a star. He's going to be a star. He's breaking out next year. Are you serious? Mitchell Robinson? Have you seen when he plays? He actually has the highest field goal percentage. He broke Wilt Chamberlain's record with the highest field goal percentage in a regular season. He plays, his stats don't show up because he only plays like 15, 16 minutes a game because he fouls so much. He fouls frequently. But if you play him 36 minutes a game, Mitchell Robinson inside, the interior defense he brings, the grit he brings, the efficiency he brings, just how lengthy he is and how athletic he is, I think Mitchell Robinson is a star in the making. And under Tom Thibodeau, in that respect, I like the Thibodeau hiring.
If Mitchell Robinson plays 36 minutes a game, he'll average like 10 fouls a game. I don't want to hear it. Also,
besides the fouls. I got you on the fouls. I agree with you on the fouls.
If he becomes more disciplined, he'll just have less blocks. That would be my guess. But I don't know. I think whatever. I think we agree. It's not a great hire, just for different reasons, and we can probably let it sit at that. Or
Hold up, Ian. Have you ever watched Mitchell's Block Party?
Mitchell's Block Party, probably.
He has like episodes. He posts episodes. He has his own block party show. He blocks players. It's a cool show, but you should watch it, Ian, because you got to put more respect on Mitchell Robinson.
I like Mitchell Robinson. At the beginning of the year, I gave him a nod for defensive player of the year, like honorable mention. At the beginning of the year, I said that, and I got laughed off stage. If you look back at one of our episodes back from like September, yeah. So our next segment is okay. So we want to talk about MLB, right?
Yeah, let's do MLB. Yeah, what are your quick reactions, Ian?
So here's my concerns with the MLB, right? There's 66 days and a 60-game season. Okay. So that's approximately a day off every 10 days, right? So, my concern with that is they play about 4 games, a 4-game series, 3 or 4 game series, depending on interleague or not. And then they immediately go to another. So you're basically playing a 3-game interleague, 4-game normal, and then like another 3 interleague, right? So that's 3 different teams. You're playing 3 different teams in a 10-game span, then you have a day off. The testing, assuming it comes back in 24 hours, it's just not going to work. I mean, we saw with the Marlins, half their team has COVID. Half of their team has COVID. They are not playing for a week. And you're assuming that's just going to, all 15 of them are just going to like be fine in 10 days, a week. Usually it takes about 2 weeks. Even the Blue Jays game, big Blue Jays guy, even the Blue Jays game tomorrow has been postponed just because they're playing the Phillies, who played the Marlins. So it's like this is going to take longer than if you're either going to have to cancel games or you're going to have to extend the season even longer. And I don't know if that's going to work. I think they honestly halfway through the season might have to call it. That being said, the optimist in me, it's been incredible to watch. Sports are back. I don't even care. I'm not even a big baseball guy, but I've been watching so much baseball. I've dove into a big Blue Jays guy now, playing in Buffalo, very close to me. Teoscar Hernandez, early MVP considerations. Personally, from me, dude has 3 home runs in like 4 or 6 games, whatever. Kind of the GOAT. But it's early. Every team, every fan of every team is like, oh my God, we're awful, or oh my God, we're winning the World Series. So, with baseball, it's hard to tell. We're only a 10th of the way through the season, and we already have like two teams having to postpone games. So it's going to be ugly. The rest of the season will probably be pretty ugly in terms of COVID, I would assume.
It's a mess. It's a mess for sure. I still don't understand why the MLB didn't have a bubble with, you create certain places where you have all the MLB games, like the NBA did, for example, in Orlando. I think that would have been a way easier thing to do. I think that would have solved lots of the problems that they're facing now with the Miami Marlins. But I also, real quick, on a different note, I need to give a shout out to my boy Joe Kelly on the Dodgers for throwing the ball and hitting some Astros players, because honestly, they deserve it. I'm not condoning violence ever. You know that, Ian. But you know what, Ian? They played dirty. The Astros played dirty, and Joe Kelly throwing that ball. I think the 8-game suspension was excessive. I think it was overly excessive. I think 8 games is crazy for being a player, and what the Astros did was terrible. Obviously, I'm not going to condone that behavior what Joe Kelly did, but the fan of me is happy, because he robbed my Yankees. The Astros robbed my Yankees. Let's just establish that fact. But I can't condone that as on the show. I can't say that Joe Kelly can do that. But yeah, going back to the COVID, it's interesting because I don't understand the MLB's thought process on just the not having bubbles. I understand that. I guess they were in talks with the MLB Players Association with trying to get the games in certain places, and then the players were like, "But we don't want to be trapped in a bubble. But do you want to play sports?" So I think overall, it's just a mess.
I think the problem with the bubble for the MLB is that there's at least like double the amount of players that are going to have to be actually more because there's 15 players on an NBA roster, right? And how many? There's 22 teams there. In baseball, there's 30 players on a roster right now, and there's 30 teams. So there's just way more people, and it'd be hard for them to get everyone in. That'd be my only concern. Also, it's hard to have like you're basically gonna have to only play like one game at a time unless you're in a place that has multiple baseball fields, which is not easy to find. Because they're just like you wouldn't have them within like a mile radius or whatever it may be. But yeah, no, I agree. And then to go back to the Joe Kelly thing, he got suspended 8 games, which is ridiculous because the Astros have had zero punishment. Zero. But
Exactly.
you know, it is what it is. And also he did miss them. He did not actually end up beaming them. He did miss them.
Hey, shout out, real quick, shout out to my boy Crispy commenting in the chat. I see you, Kevin. I see you. You should call in, Kevin. You should call in. But yeah. I agree with you. Let's see if we have any live callers. I know a couple of my boys are watching, and big baseball guys. So I'm hoping they call in. I don't see them now, but Ezra and Kevin, I'm watching you guys. You guys need to call in. You have the info. There's no excuse. Call in, Kevo, especially you, and Ezra, especially you two, both you guys. So, yeah. And you're probably hyped also. You got your Buffalo Bills, and now you get your Buffalo Blue Jays too.
Of course. Buffalo Sabres. I got a Sabres jersey right here. I just bought it. They're not in the bubble. They're not in the hockey bubble, but because they're not good. But that's Jack Eichel. It's not showing up. But that's
the beautiful Ballaholics background is
yeah,
washing it away.
Go Sabres.
And of course, I can't complain about my Yankees. My Yankees doing pretty well. Giancarlo Stanton, shout out to you in the first game. Looks like you might actually finally show up this season. Garrett Cole's been just outstanding.
They played like
Love
what?
Garrett Cole.
How many games have the Yankees played?
4 games. They're 3-1, I believe.
Oh, okay. So they just got postponed for the Marlins series.
And Gleyber Torres, you scared me. Not Gleyber Torres. The Yankees scared me in the second game they played against the Nationals, but Gleyber Torres came through. That's what I love about the Yankees. The Yankees always have a player that will come through for them no matter what. So I think that's just super awesome. Let's once again just check and see if anyone's calling in. No, I'm very upset. I'm very heartbroken, Ian, because Ezra was telling me and Kevin, they were like, I'm gonna call in, but they haven't called in. So it's very sad. I'm very sad right now.
Do you want to hop? I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want to hop into our our bubble predictions?
Yes, let's do that. Let's transition now to our final segment. This is it, guys. And real quick before I keep going on, we're 15 minutes out from the first NBA bubble game at 6:30. Right now it is 6:15. So Ian, this is basically it right now. After we get off here, the NBA bubble starts. So I want to hear some big, bold predictions you got, Ian, or just any kind of predictions in general. Let's hear it. Throw them out.
My red hot prediction for the bubble has to be, I don't know. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna just throw one out there real quick. Nuggets. No, take that back. Celtics going to the finals. Celtics going to the finals. That's my red hot take. I just believe in Jason. I believe in Jason Tatum probably way too much to a fault. And I really don't know why I believe in him so much. Brad Stevens, I just love the team in general. And I think the East is somewhat open. We talked about this a little bit last time. We both were saying, the Bucks have it. You know what? I'm changing my course. I think Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals. Are you calling 911 on me? You better not.
I was thinking about calling 911 on you, but I figured not. I feel like I'm gonna call my other boy instead to figure out why he's not calling in real quick. I was doing some investigation, But no, I'm actually not gonna call 911 on the Celtics pick because I do believe that's a legitimate thought. It's a legitimate possibility that the Celtics can come out of the East. And you said that last year they could have. Actually, last year I had them over the Milwaukee Bucks, but Kyrie Irving ultimately derailed that. Now you replace him with Kemba Walker, who's a leader. He's not going to shoot them out of the game.
No Kawhi this time.
No Kawhi either. But I'm specifically referencing that game, the series with the Bucks and the Celtics. I do believe the Bucks are going to make it out of the East. So pencil it in for me that the Bucks will make it out of the Eastern Conference. This will be Giannis Antetokounmpo's first time in the NBA Finals, And Ian, you say that it'll be the Celtics' time.
Damn.
It'll be Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum's time to shine.
Sam, I think we need to make a bet.
Really? Right now?
We make a bet.
You want to do it right now, live on air?
All right, so let's say Celtics make it out of the East. I owe you dinner. No. If Celtics make it out of the East, you owe me dinner. If the Bucks make it out, I owe you dinner. How about that?
I can't complain. I like that. I like that, Ian. You know, I guess
We
I'm having
owe
dinner.
each other Nurchies. We'll owe each other Nurchies. How
I
about that?
appreciate it. Nurchies can do. Well, how about let's do Nurchies. We'll do Nurchies. So, if the Bucks make it out of the finals, you give me Nurchies, and I want what kind of flavors do they have? I like the barbecue. They have barbecue slice.
You gotta get the wings, probably. Are the wings good? I've never
I'm
had
getting
Nurchies.
wings at Nurchies. I'm getting give me a barbecue slice. Some barbecue
You
chicken.
don't know what wings. You don't.
Yeah,
First
give
off,
me some
you don't-
ranch. Give me some blue cheese
first
on.
off-
The.
First off, you're
Yeah.
from Long Island. You don't know what wings taste like. I don't want to hear it. You don't know what wings are.
But I do know pizza though. I do know pizza.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You don't know that in Buffalo, Westchester, whatever. I don't care.
Rochester. I live in Rochester.
Rochester.
I got good pizza here. Better wings.
Not city pizza. Not city
You don't know
pizza.
what a garbage plate is. Do you want to know what a garbage plate is?
I guess another prediction that I want to make, bold prediction. This is going to be Greg Popovich's last time he's ever going to coach. He's retiring after the season.
No.
Yep.
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about
He's
it
going
because
to. He's retiring.
he's not. There's no shot he's going to make it into the playoffs, right?
Exactly.
You think Greg Popovich would retire? I guess Becky Hammond's. Maybe he will.
It's time. He's unloading it. He's giving it up to either Tim Duncan or Becky Hammond. Greg Popovich is going to retire. He's not going to be there. I guess another prediction I have real quick. Ian, you might like this one, okay?
I'm listening.
So, I think that the top two teams in the West are the Lakers and the Clippers.
Right.
Now, if the Lakers were to play the Rockets, the Lakers would win. If the Rockets play the Clippers, I think the Rockets have a good shot to win against the Clippers. I think that just the pure firepower with Russell Westbrook and James Harden is enough to beat the Clippers, because I think the way you beat the Clippers, I think the Clippers can beat the Lakers, because I think Kawhi Leonard is LeBron's kryptonite. But the Clippers have two wing players. The Rockets are two fast guard players. Russell Westbrook, super explosive. James Harden, just two offensive masterminds. So I think that the Rockets have a good shot if they play the Clippers, especially the fact that if the Rockets play the Clippers in the first two rounds, the Clippers won't have that chemistry done already. Like, the chemistry won't be down. So once the Clippers play the Lakers, the chemistry will be down for the Clippers. But right now, they're having issues. Kawhi Leonard's not playing great. Lou Williams obviously had to leave the bubble. He went to a strip club or something, so he's not playing right now. So it's taking a while for that chemistry to reestablish. So the Rockets might be able to hit while it's hot. So I think the Rockets have a good chance to beat the Clippers.
I might call 911 right now.
Well, we do have a caller, Ian, so maybe they're going to call 911 on one of us. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. What's going on? You're live with Ballaholics.
What's going on again, Sam? Ian, what's up?
How we doing, Mike? What do you think, man?
Good,
What
good.
are your predictions?
Well, ESPN kept saying they want to see a Lakers and Clippers Western Conference Finals. I think only one of them makes it there. It's going to be the Lakers. I think either Houston or the Nuggets knock off the Clippers.
Interesting take.
And as far as the East goes, Toronto has Milwaukee's psyche because Milwaukee took the first two and then Toronto swept the next four. So unless somebody knocks out Toronto, if Toronto goes up against the Bucks again, I see that going 7, and a 7-game series can go either way. But I'm gonna take Toronto because they're the defending champs. You have to knock off the champs to be the champs. So my finals prediction is gonna be Lakers, Raptors, Lakers in 6.
Ian?
I mean, looking at it now, Raptors 2 seed. Like, that's we have disrespected them continuously on this show, so I like to see some Raptors love. And Pascal Siakam, I think this could be his time to be like. I mean, obviously he has shown this year that he is, a star. But this could be the time where he's like, actually takes over and is a superstar. For the West, I don't know. Part of me, I like the Clippers. I like Kawhi too much to bet against them. Like if I'm a betting man, I'm taking Lakers Clippers in the conference finals. That's just me taking the odds. The Nuggets, I would love to see in the Western Conference final. The Rockets, I would hate. I'm a huge Rockets hater. We've established that earlier in this episode. But just for me, I mean, I just think the Rockets relied too much on fouls for it to actually happen for the playoffs to actually call enough fouls, or the refs to call enough fouls for them in the playoffs. Because as we've seen, fouls have dipped in the playoffs.
I would say to your point, I feel like you've forgotten who Kawhi Leonard is, Mike. For both of your takes, real quick, because with the Lakers one, Kawhi Leonard against any other best player besides LeBron James in the West. If you look at, for example, if you look at the Nuggets' best player, is Nikola Jokic. Okay, you look at the Houston Rockets, their best player is James Harden. Kawhi Leonard is battle tested. He's playoff tested. So I think that he was the major reason, not only why the Toronto Raptors were so good, why I don't think that the Raptors can make it even to the Eastern Conference Finals, per se. But that's also why I think the Clippers are going to make it to not only the NBA Finals over the Clippers, over the Lakers, but they're going to win against the Bucks and become NBA champions.
Didn't you just say wait, Sam, didn't you just say that the Rockets would beat the Clippers?
I did. Sorry. Let me rephrase that because I got a little bit caught. I'm in a little bit of a predicament right now. No. Ian, what I'm saying is here. Ian, the Clippers are the second best team in the West.
Yes.
The Lakers can beat the Clippers.
Yes.
The Clippers can beat the Lakers.
Correct.
Excuse me. The Clippers can beat the Lakers.
Yep.
The Lakers can beat the Rockets. I think the Rockets have a strong chance. It's Game 7 against the Clippers. I don't know who wins. I don't know if the Clippers win. I don't know if the Rockets win. It's super close. I have to say the Clippers in 7, in like the last 5 seconds, but ultimately because of Kawhi Leonard, but that's so close, Ian. It's so close. It's too hard to call.
Mike, before we head out, throw your hottest take out there right now for me.
We still got Mike on the phone. Mike,
wait, what was that?
I said before we leave, because we only got like 5 minutes left, throw out your hottest take for the bubble.
Paul George is going to outplay Kawhi Leonard in a series in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Playoff P.
Okay.
What happened last year?
Not if he's playing Joe Ingles, though. Not if he's playing Joe Ingles.
Well, Paul George was on a crappier team with a ball hog, so
yeah.
Kawhi's not really a ball hog.
Ooh.
And also to your point, I didn't forget who Kawhi Leonard is. He would occasionally sit out to get rest and stuff. I just never really cared for that.
I agree with you there. I agree. I hate how he rests. I don't think that Kawhi Leonard should be resting as much as he does in the regular season. But I just think that Kawhi is a different animal in the playoffs. I think that he's just a different player. He's a different person. He's a different human being. If he even is a human being. Yeah. So I think that Paul George. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical because of last season. Playoff P sounded a lot like Swaggy P. So I don't know if I can go with playoff P, but I do know Kawhi will be there. That series is going to be very interesting if it happens. I hope it does, Mike. And really appreciate you calling once again. You're our best caller. Everyone else,
sure,
Mike,
try it.
they all say they're going to call and they never do. So you're a real one.
Yeah. Also,
right, Mike,
just before we go, I want to say that also the Lakers are going to win because the whole thing with Kobe Bryant, the tragedy. Like God rest his soul. Like LeBron wants to win this year more than anything. That's why I'm going to say the Lakers too.
That's very true.
I think that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
That's very fair. That's a really good point. I like that point a lot. Great point. All right, Mike. Really appreciate you calling.
Yep. Take it easy, Sam. Ian. Easy.
All right, see you, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that last. I like that last point with Kobe Bryant. I really do think that LeBron, not only does he have his legacy at stake, but he wants to win it for Kobe Bryant, and just because of what Kobe Bryant has been, not only for the the Lakers, but just for the NBA in general. So I think that would be really cool. That'd be a cool story if LeBron can win it.
For the culture, yeah.
Exactly. Any more final thoughts, Ian? We got. Looks like we have 2 minutes left on our Zoom time because we don't have the pro version.
So also in 4 minutes, we got tip off for Jazz Pelicans. You taking the Jazz? Or let's make a bet. Jazz or Pelicans? What are you taking? I'm gonna find the spread real quick. The spread is sorry. All right, Pelicans minus 2.5. Who are you taking?
Who's home?
Yeah.
No, honestly, the Jazz are a better team just because the Pelicans are super hungry because they have to win a certain amount of games in order to get into that playoff picture, while as the Jazz are already there. I'm going to say it's the Pelicans tonight.
I'm going to take Jazz plus 2.5. I'm going to take Jazz money line as well. I think 2.5 is a lot of points for a team that's 13 games ahead. I'm just gonna try to be smart, try to be a betting man. The betting man I am. I'm gonna take the Jazz here.
Wait, who's the favorite in that game?
The favorite is the Pelicans.
Oh, that's weird.
Right? Yeah, by 2.5 points.
Oh, so betting wise, I might even go with the Jazz, but no betting aside, I think I'd go with the Pelicans. It's because they're more hungry, and that veteran leadership with JJ Redick, Drew Holiday, I feel like they were well rested and they're in better shape because of the hiatus.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Yeah, once again, really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Looks like we have 1:30 left. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you follow us, show us the love. Up there, you'll see exactly what we got. You know, I don't have to say it anymore because I was able to get that Ballaholics BTV6 onto our, camera. Real quick, really happy that you guys joined again. And enjoy the NBA. Here we are. The NBA season is officially back. So super excited for that. All right, guys.
See you guys
next time.